Welcome to the after party. Welcome to the after party. Did you bring some snacks and treats?
Yes, it did.
I hope you got me something to eat.
Maybe.
Welcome to the after party. Coming to the after party.
Right now.
I've been waiting here all day to act like a fool this way. Welcome to the after party. Join us in the after party.
Right now.
Oh, chocolate and dabbing, maybe some microphone dabbing at the after party.
With DJ Eric Page.
It's right for once. DJ Eric and Pagey. It's correct.
Or DJ Erickson, the Swedish DJ.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the after party. So excited to be coming to you today with a fixed chair. If you saw my Titans review, I had to stand up and film it because my chair was missing a wheel. So, but the wheel is back. It has returned. And
Are you allowed to explain why the wheel was broken, or is that getting into X-rated territory?
That is going to be saved for my other website that I'm not going to mention within the first
Tumblr.
Yeah, that one. So there we go. But yeah, so thank you guys for being here, and hopefully no more standing up video. I don't like stand up in film, so I'd rather.
I love them. I love them just because you're closer to a twerk than you are when you're sitting down. You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden you could just, if you get too excited.
Yeah. So, all right. So before we get started, though, a few things I'm going to go over. I think I've talked. I talked to Lance about this already, but I haven't really discussed everybody. Just a little bit of housekeeping for the stream before we get started here. So with the after party moving forward, we're going to streamline the way it functions. And that means it's going to be myself and Pagey with specific guests that are lined up in advance. So we're not going to have people like just randomly being on the stream. We're going to plan streams around Pagey and myself, and then people will be asked directly through a DM whether or not they want to be on. Because I honestly get so many people that want to be on that it's impossible for me to accommodate everybody. So if I invite like one person and like 2 or 3 people that have asked me to come on don't get invited, it becomes an issue. So in order to like limit the issues I have to deal with that, I think it's better if I just reach out to people and ask them to join when I feel like it's necessary. So we will still have special guests, but it's just not going to be packed with people. I get overwhelmed. Like, honestly, I don't know if the chat feels this way or not, but like more than 3 or 4 people, and it starts to get really kind of chaotic. Is that a good word to like use there? It just feels.
Also, you got to remember, there's like
chaotic to me.
There's also like a second. I don't know if it's exactly a second, but there's a bit of like a lag. So I'd say the thing I'm saying now probably happened a second ago from when you're hearing it. So you just when there's like it's already an issue when there's 3. So when it gets 4 or 5 or 6, you end up being. God, it sounds like a stampede of words.
Yeah. So, I mean, we will have people. I'm not like saying we will not have guests. I'm just saying that this week is kind of a reset, Paige and myself, and then we're going to discuss like how we're going to set up guests in the future. However, all of my streams on Twitch will be chaotic AF. I'm not going to say the word because we're still too early in the stream. So if you want to see like, I mean, I'll do 20 people on stream over on Twitch. So if you want to come over and see the chaos on Twitch and you want to join me over there, you can hit me up on,
I do have a teaser. I've heard, so Eric broke his chair, but he bought a wheel. Now I heard there was another purchase in this Amazon order.
Oh, was there another one?
But it's a Twitch exclusive item. Am I allowed to reveal said item?
I don't even know what the item is. So yeah, go ahead. What is it? What are we revealing?
Arseless chaps. So it's really exciting for, I guess, the twerk lovers out there that is finally coming. YouTube's banned it. Twitch will probably ban it, but it's whether Eric gets caught.
Justin, I don't know. Paige, do you know about that? Do Twitch streams get archived or not? I don't know if they.
Well, I don't know if you're going to be the one. I think your ones you wouldn't want to archive because if you're going to have mute, because the thing is, like, there's like the what are they, VODs, like videos on demand.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, remember I was talking to you, it's like there's a way which I know that people stream where they play, like say they're playing, I don't know, Madonna in the background or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like a virgin, like, you know, I don't know, you can do the
Yeah.
singing if you want. But then when their video demand goes up, it's their stream as it was, but the music's not playing.
Right.
So I don't know how that works, how you do it, whether if it's a simulcast stream. But I know that if you're playing, like that's where the issues were in the past and can still be, is like with the copyright stuff. So you might have to look into that.
So this is the thing, Andy, and this is what I was going to say. This is the next thing I was going to say. What I'm going to do with my streams at Twitch is if we cover a topic on one of those live streams that is good for YouTube, I will clip that portion and that will get uploaded to YouTube. Most of the stuff over at Twitch that we're going to be talking about is going to be random stuff. So I don't know. The big L is the only thing that I'm going to have planned out, and that's going to be stuff that's specifically not necessarily good for YouTube. So I don't know how much of that I'm going to clip out anyway. So yes, there's going to be some sort of process for that. Twitch is going to be a lot of fun for me to do random stuff because over here I can't look at trailers without fear of like, I mean, Paige, you know, like what happened to us with like Fandom where the
got cut off
just cable. Yeah. Over there that won't happen. So that's kind of what that's going to be relegated to. But do not worry, we're still going to have guests on the after party. It's still going to have people here, but it's just not going to be like last minute like adding people. It's going to be something where I'm going to reach out to creators. I'm going to say, hey, do you want to join us on this week? And then yeah, we'll have them. So that's the first bit of housekeeping. And there we go. All right, members only stream will be this week, which is it's going to be a public stream, but members only will be able to chat, or you can super chat if you like. That's going to be probably towards the end of the week. The big L will most likely be on a Sunday night because now I'm no longer working on Sundays. So, well, I am working Sundays, but not Sunday nights. So I'll be free and it'll be a late night stream and it is going to be spicy. The big L, if you've been to any of my Twitch streams so far,
Sriracha.
You know, it's going to be spicy. So they're going to be on Sunday nights. And I think that's pretty much it. I don't really have any other things to add. Oh, the watch along is also, the schedule will happen tonight. Like anybody who's a Team Eric member, I actually think everybody will see it. I think it's going to be public for everybody to see, but only Team Eric members will be able to chat. There we go. It's that's 7 minutes of like catching everybody up on stuff. But look, we got people here now, so that's good. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to give some shout outs to some Team Eric members. We have David Zaslav is now a Team Eric member, which I am really shocked that he has decided to use some of that money that they so desperately need to become a Team Eric member. So thank you for that. Thomas Scott, 3Dub, Amethyst in the house, Robert Blake. Let's see who else we got here. I saw some other people up here from earlier. Cal is in the building, or maybe he's not in the building. Maybe he's outside watching on his phone. I don't know. We'll see about that. Anyway, thank you everybody for being here. I do appreciate it. All right, the first thing we're going to talk about. Well, actually, let's go ahead and just get this out of the way. I don't think I've covered it other than the video that I did, but the ending of Stargirl. We have not talked about that in a live stream here. I suspected that the show would be ending / canceled. I was hoping that I was wrong, but I wasn't. Were you shocked by this news or not?
If you told me like a month ago, I maybe would have been like, oh, okay, that's like sort of somewhat surprising, just based off a month ago. But you know how we've been talking like over the past month, like there's been things where like a couple of the actors on the show that were regulars were cast in other things that would be filming like early next year. I'm like, well, if that's the case, then like Stargirl would be like gone off the air for ages if they're not able to film until like mid next year, if not late next year. Like no network show is going to do that. And then like Jeff Johns started that show with Paramount and it's going to be a showrunner with the Geiger show. So just things like that added up. I'm like, oh, it just seems like Stargirl's not going to be on. I think it was one of the things where I think a lot of people behind the scenes probably knew, but just weren't allowed to talk about it. Even the fact that they filmed 2 different endings and stuff like that.
Do you think that Breck knew about it even when she was up filming with Titans? I feel like she might have known even.
I think that's the reason the Titans thing is even happening.
Oh, really? Okay.
I would, because it's just the crossover just seems so random and to the point where it doesn't really make sense that it seems like it's one of those things where they can have that official ending that they filmed, I guess, on Stargirl with all those characters or the main characters, but then that cameo or that little portion that's done in Titans maybe addresses some other unanswered things that are potentially needed if that's the case.
Right. Yeah. I know a lot of people have argued about whether or not it was canceled or it was ending, and I've said that it could fall, like, you could look at it either way, really, because the creative people, everyone on Team Stargirl, wrapped up the season as if it was the end of the show. They said that's been something they've been saying, so we know that they did that preemptively, but they still, at the time of finishing the season, had every intention to go on and do another season of Stargirl. So, and if you look at it that way, the show was canceled. What do you think the correct way of looking at this is? Do you think it was canceled? Do you think it was ending? How do you think people should be looking at this?
I think it was canceled, but it has an ending.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
So you're saying that, like, saying either one is fine? Is that what
I think it was canceled in the same way that like Batwoman and Legends were canceled? Like there was like they would have, they didn't end on their own accord. Like they had intentions to go forward. Right. But at the same time, they have an ending.
Yeah.
Unlike Batwoman and Legends.
Which, it's really weird because, they, at least the people at the CW, made the claim that they told both Batwoman and Legends before their finale that they may not get picked up. Do you think that's true? Do you actually think that's what happened?
Say that again.
They were saying that we found back when those shows were canceled that they were told that they may not get picked up again. Do you think that's true, or do you think that's just
I think
that was saying?
Yeah, but I think it was just that thing where, like, even with the Legends, they were in season 7, was it? Season 7?
Mm-hmm.
So they were just thought, oh no, they won't cancel us. And I would have been on the same thing. Like Batwoman, maybe, like, can't be too sure. But I mean, Legends was in season 7. So it's probably just like a bit of a gamble, just a gamble. Like, oh, well, it's like almost like leaving like 5 minutes late and you miss the bus. Like, oh, well, tomorrow if I did the exact same thing, I'd make it.
Right. I will say, though, that even if they had plans for another season, I'm glad that they took the initiative to sort of not leave a lot of loose ends at the end of this season.
Yeah.
Because then it feels like you can rewatch the show and not think about, like, not getting an actual finale for the whole season. But it sucks because, I mean, I like Stargirl. I think it's a really good show. I think it's one of the best shows on the CW. But speaking of that, the CW is moving quickly through this new era here by laying off a bunch of staff and firing people from departments that are, it's kind of weird, like the casting department. Apparently everyone in the casting department was literally fired and not replaced, meaning they're probably not going to do any more casting in-house, which leans more into the fact that they're going to be buying shows from other markets, right? I mean, that's kind of what it is. It's going to become a platform of cheap shows that they're getting aftermarket, right? That feels like the direction they're heading in?
Oh, 100%. Like it's saying the curious thing around it is whether it's one of those things where it doesn't work at all, because their intentions, their goals is to make it profitable. That's why the next star is taking on the debt, because they have this internal belief that they can do this, acquire all these different shows and make it profitable through all the different monetization revenues, whether it's through the ads that they put on. And it makes you wonder whether they'll get shorter shows. You know how there's shows that only have, so like the usual comedy, like a Big Bang Theory is about 21, 22 minutes. So you get 8 minutes of ad in that half an hour slot.
Right.
There is shows that have 15 to 18 minute episodes.
Yes, there are.
And I wonder if their intention is to have half an hour slots, but put 15 to 18 minute episodes in there, and then play 12 to 15 minutes worth of ads.
Yeah, I believe you're right.
So you're almost doubling the monetization for a half an hour slot.
Because in the articles that I read, because we've both done videos on it this week, they said they were committed to some of these shows. And one of the ones that they mentioned was something like Whose Line Is It Anyway? And then that show is ending. So if that show isn't safe, I don't think anything is safe on the network, right? I mean, if they're willing to get rid of a show like that, that's been on forever, and it's extremely cheap. I'm assuming that show is probably one of the cheapest shows they have.
Yeah, your most expensive thing is the cast to keep the money to come in, and they would film multiple episodes. They wouldn't just film one episode with that audience. They'd film multiple. I'm assuming that's what they would do because it seems like a waste of time to just bring them in to do one thing, but then split them over X amount of weeks, but and not put them all in a row.
And I would also say don't get too attached to Winchester's and Walker Independence because those shows did not receive backup orders, which is basically additional episodes. And you might say, well, what does that even mean? Because they've said that, like, oh, well, you know, we're not canceling these. Well, what that means is that they're not getting those additional like 5 episodes that almost every overperforming show gets. Because, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here because I haven't looked today, but the last time I looked, Walker Independence, Walker in general, that franchise you call it now, and Winchester's are both performing really well for the CW. So if you can perform as well as they're performing and not get backup episodes, that's pretty sus, right?
Yeah. Well, Walker's the number 1 show on the network. I'm not too sure how Walker Independence goes, but you'd think it would be somewhat tied in there.
Thank you, Lainey, for becoming a member. I do appreciate it. Check out the perks and all of the lists with the Team Eric exclusives on it. I have as a playlist on the page, and there's a ton of stuff there. So thank you so much for the support.
Yeah. The one thing I'm very curious about is because if the CW is pretty much scrapping its own original content, so you're not getting a Walker, you're not getting a Gotham Knights, you're not getting Superman and Lois, Stargirl, etc. They still get money through international markets. Like Walker is on a streaming service here that streaming service has to pay for, and they advertise the streaming service with Walker on there. Walker is one of their shows that they use to advertise people to come in and watch it, along with some other shows as well. So where's that international money coming? Like they're losing that revenue stream as well through the international markets, despite the fact that like you get Paramount and HBO Max or whatever that's going to be called in the next year or two.
Right.
Despite the shit they get that after in America, there's still that international thing. Like the UK doesn't have HBO Max. It's spread over like Sky and like whatever the other stuff is. In Australia, we didn't have HBO Max. It's spread over Binge and Stan and Netflix and all these different streaming services that they have to pay to get the shows to put them on there, and people watch them. They're very popular on there. So I don't know. It's a really weird thing. And as I was saying to you before, even with those international markets, or even like in America, if they or like another country or whatever it is, and like the CW acquires it, how do they monetize that in regards to like allowing, you know, selling that to other markets? Because wouldn't that international market just go to the original market and buy it? So if it's in the UK and it's an Australian show, wouldn't the UK network, whether it's Sky, just go to the Australian production company and network that made the show and just get it for there? Because wouldn't it be cheaper? Unless the CW gets it and undercuts to sell it off.
It's a good question. I don't know. Things are good over there. I mean, and on top of that, they want to cap licensed content at 1 million an episode, which it just in the barest of terms, we're not going to go over all the numbers. If you want to do that, you can check out Paige's video. I did a video on this talking in detail about it. It means that most of the shows that we love could not afford to be made. That's essentially it. At 1 million an episode, it's almost impossible. Some of these characters, like Superman and Lois alone, just the license for some of the characters on that show would exceed $1 million. That show, on average, costs between 5 and 7 million to make an episode. So it's not good, right? I mean, this is
but the 1 million was the license fee, not the budget.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is that clearly with the focus that Warner Brothers has on like Superman as a character, they're not going to cut corners to give them license for characters on the show that they're trying to use in the movies. I feel like they're going to ask for more money.
Yeah. Well, I think this, well, and I said this in the video I put out today, is that I think the CW is trying to play like bargaining almost. They'll play like, it's almost like when you go to a garage sale, like barter. They're trying to barter with the both Paramount and HBO Max or Warner Brothers.
Right.
It's just like, hey, well, if you give us this for a bit cheaper, you only give us to us $1 million, you still get the show made. You're sort of like just taking a cut so the show makes and it goes to your streaming service afterwards. And then like co-financing was mentioned as well. And I mean, co-financing, like the only show I think on the CW that has had co-financing at all is Stargirl in the last like 4 episodes of season 1.
Some people, I've seen a few people saying that they might even like double down and go lower than $1 million for some of these shows, like trying to save more money.
Well, I think that when they say $1 million, it's like a ballpark figure, and it'd be like maybe like 200K either side of that.
Well, Triple X,
but they don't try and go cheaper as possible.
This is a good question because we're about to move into this, and this is connected to Black Adam. We're going to talk about that as well. But I want to talk a bit about something that's kind of shocking. So we knew that HBO Max is going to get merged into Discovery Plus, whatever that's going to end up being. I don't know what the name of that service is going to be. And they're actually fast tracking it now because their numbers are so bad that they want to make this happen by spring of next year. Now, we knew that they were going to be cutting shows from HBO Max. They've already started doing that. We knew that. But we thought that HBO proper was kind of a safe haven for content. But they just canceled Westworld, which is a very well-received show on HBO that was
going to its final. It was going to its
Right.
final season. It only had 1 season left.
Right. 1 season left to wrap up the show. They could have given them, 6 episodes or whatever to try and do it. But of course, as Warner Brothers Discovery does, they just canceled the show. And the reason why this is so shocking is because this is an HBO show. It's not an HBO Max show, meaning that we're seeing these budget cuts sort of bleed into now the standard fare that you get on HBO, which is a service that, people get with their cable package. And we thought this was safe, but now that's gone too. So do you think that this is, should we be more concerned now that they're actually canceling HBO shows? Because this means that shows that we thought could move from like streaming to HBO probably aren't going to have a home there either, right? I mean, I feel like that's kind of the message that we're getting.
Well, it's weird because it's like HBO, like especially usually once a show gets like a second season HBO, usually it's pretty sweet. Especially nowadays, like maybe like back in the day. I remember Flight of the Conchords that got canceled after season 2. I was annoyed at that. Yeah. Good show. But that's an HBO show.
The actors are still getting paid, but the sad thing is not only is the story not going to get finished, but only the core actors are getting paid. That means
the season regulars.
Yeah, no one else that was attached to that production that thought they were going to get another year of work, they're not getting paid. So that's a lot of people in unions and people that work on set that just basically lost their job. The big actors don't need, that's the thing that gets me. The core actors, all of them are primarily successful actors. Like them not getting a gig just means they'll book another gig somewhere and they're fine. They're out of that contract now. But you're not paying the people that are like the people that are living paycheck to paycheck.
They're all people that have probably all had other projects that came out this year. Like it's Tandy Newton, Tessa Thompson, Ed Harris. Like it's all those like actors that are in franchises or have work on a regular basis. So it's like they don't really. They're the ones that probably don't need the money at all.
I almost feel like them paying the core actors was just to avoid bad press. That's what I think that was, because it doesn't seem like they really, or maybe there was some contractual obligation for why they had to pay them, and that's why it's happening. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe they went to a point where it's like they canceled it so late that they had to pay out certain people. I feel like that's the only reason they did that. Lainey here, who just became a Team Eric member with a £5 super chat. Thank you so much, Lainey. Just saying hi for my first super chat. Well, welcome to Super Chat. I'm worried though, as someone in the UK, and wondering where DC TV's new home will be. It's going to be on streaming. So I believe that because the CW is kind of the last bastion of like superhero content on regular TV, that once that's gone, it'll be a very long time before we see it return to regular television. So you're going to be looking at like places like, Netflix, because Sandman got renewed for another season, which is really cool. I thought it was a really good first season. So we got that going on. There's some animated Warner Brothers stuff going to Netflix, maybe. HBO Max isn't going to be HBO Max for much longer. So whatever that service is going to be is where DC TV is going to be at. So stuff like Doom Patrol, Titans, and this TV show connected to the Batman world, all of that stuff will be over on that streaming service. I don't think we're going to see stuff on regular streaming services, right? I mean, on regular network TV. Do you think we're gonna once Superman and Lois is gone, that's pretty much it? Because I don't even know what's gonna happen with Gotham Knights, to be honest.
Yeah, you'd have to assume so, unless there's like weird simulcast stuff that happens. But yeah, you'd have to assume that that's probably the last hurrah.
Yeah. We had another super chat here from Thomas, who's also a Team Eric member. Thank you so much, Thomas. And UK Sky Now TV has deal with HBO until 2025, preventing HBO Max coming to UK. But we do have Discovery Plus, but I don't think they can air HBO shows till 2025 due to Sky deal. It's bad here. Yeah. So Australia. Yeah, I was gonna say, Paige, you've talked about this before about how you have a streaming service or something. What is it called over there?
Well, it's Fox. There's the cable provider, or the pay TV provider, which is Foxtel, and they have the deal with HBO, which is very similar to this. It's like, well, yeah, Foxtel is Sky over here. It's like they have the same boxes and remotes and stuff. But then there's a streaming service over here, which is owned by Foxtel, which is called Binge, which has like all the other things come into it as well. Like, so Binge is where Stargirl was, Peacemaker was. Superman and Lois goes there. All the HBO stuff like House of Dragons on there. So that's I don't even know if it'd be part of the same deal because it's all like the Rupert Murdoch stuff. So our deal is probably till 2025 as well, from memory.
Right. So and I know Canada has Crave. I think Crave is the streaming service in Canada.
Yeah, they run off the same. They run off like the same sort of streaming.
Yeah, because I think one stream we pulled up the two of them to see what they look like, and they're essentially the same.
Exactly the same, just different shows.
Yeah. All right. Do we have any more super chats? Are we good there? All right. So all right, moving into problems with Warner Brothers. The last thing we're going to talk about before we talk about our shows is Black Adam. Now, I want to pull up the screen here so we can look at the numbers on Box Office Mojo for Black Adam. It's really tiny. Let me see if I can bring that up there. All right. So this is where we're at with Black Adam, and this is in the middle of the third week now in the box office. This is the third week, and this is the last week they're really going to make any money because of the fact that Wakanda Forever comes out next week. And it looks, I'll be honest, and you guys know I love this movie. This to me looks like the movie has stalled, right? Would you say that they've reached their peak sales, correct?
I think they might have stalled in the first week.
I mean, but would you? I mean, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, they can still make like 600 million." There's no way. Right?
But I remember what people were telling me the other week that no, it's going to make money. You're wrong, Paige. Is that you could tell from the first week it wasn't going to make it. It opened around Shazam level, and to be fair, I don't think it has China yet.
Did you hear about China?
What? So it's not opening in China now?
No, because Pierce Brosnan made a comment about the Dalai Lama in an interview, and so China has refused to air Black Adam. So,
well, there we go. R.I.P. in the chat.
So, this is the reason why this is a problem. Isn't just because of Black Adam. Like, it's going to be what it's going to be, right? My issue with this is that this is going to affect movies of characters who are not the big characters. Like, I'm not talking about Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman. Those characters, they're going to figure out what they're going to do with them. I'm worried about like the Blue Beetle movie, right? Because if they're looking at these numbers on a character that had Superman connected to the movie, even though it was only a end credit scene, they're not going to be confident in Blue Beetle. Do you? And I know you hate doing this. I'm going to put you on the spot though. Blue Beetle. Do you think we're going to see the movie or not? Do you think Blue Beetle is going to come out? Yes, no. Because they spent a lot of money on advertising with this. They're not going to make it back, guys. I'm telling you right now. This worldwide number, that's not enough.
Well, if it's not opening in China, it's not even going to break 300.
No, that's what I mean.
Yeah, and they would have spent close to 300 million when it comes to budget and then advertising. It could be a bigger flop than Green Lantern.
Yeah. So here's the deal, Thomas. it doesn't matter because it's about perception of the market. It's not about how much money they've lost because they're already swimming in debt, right? So it's not about that. It's about the fact that they're looking at this property of a character that's not one of the big characters with The Rock attached to it, and it's not going to make back its budget and advertising. So from their eyes to like their wallets, they're going, do we want to take a risk on something else? Like,
well, you know what? The thing that The Rock has on his side is the fact that the whole Henry Cavill situation now, and then his management team is attached to Henry Cavill, because now that's their card, isn't it? Like that's it, like a secret play.
Yeah,
is like now they got the negotiation deal with they can use like Superman to leverage Black Adam in that role,
right?
But man, like I had worries for it going into it just because it was one opening so close to Black Panther,
Right.
and two, it just felt like they were trying so hard and you heard no one talking about it.
Yeah. So to keep in mind, the Eternals, which everybody considers to be a bomb, made over 400 million worldwide. So this is doing worse than that.
And that was also banned in China. That was banned in China and Saudi Arabia and all those different countries.
Staggervore with the 1-9 super chat. From a scale of 1 to 10, how worried should we be? Well, it depends on what you mean worried for. Are you talking about Superman and Lois? Are you talking about the future of DC content on, with Warner Brothers Discovery?
I think he was talking about like the CW HBO Max stuff.
Okay. I would say there's no point in worrying about it because there's nothing that we can do. One thing I want to say about this, and I see a lot of this on social media, is the people like hashtagging renew Stargirl and stuff like that. You guys can do what you want with your time, but I'm just going to be really honest here. I don't think they care. I don't think they care about any of that. This isn't one of those times where like the renew Daredevil thing where Marvel was still making content like at a regular rate and they had the opportunity to bring Daredevil back. This isn't a situation like that. This is stuff where the both Warner Brothers Discovery and Nexstar CW are both trying to reduce debt. So the idea of taking a risk based on fan outcry, if they didn't bring back Legends, if they didn't bring back Naomi, if they didn't bring back Batwoman, if it didn't save Batgirl, if none of that stuff worked, I think it's kind of like we're doing it to make ourselves feel better. I just don't think they're going to do any of that. So I don't think worrying is going to do anything. I think being prepared is probably the best thing to do. Just be prepared to receive, bad news. That's just the way it's going to be. But yeah, so Black Adam, I think Black Adam it's pretty much stalled out. I think anybody who thinks it's going to make its budget back at this point. What do you think? You think we're going to see it get its budget back? I don't think it is. No, I don't think it's going to get its budgets back.
No.
Let me look at Shazam. I believe Shazam's box office was a pretty modest box office. Let me see. If we're talking about the entire run, Shazam's box office entire run was 365 million worldwide. So
like 100 million more than Black Adam's at the moment.
And much cheaper. Much cheaper. No advertising. Yeah, no advertising. So
in the era of yikes.
I mean, I don't know. I'm a little bit concerned there. Citizen Tim Scott, Team Eric member with the $2 super chat. -1. I don't know what were we talking about at that point? And not sure. Thank you for the super chat. I don't remember what we were talking about there. All right. Thomas here with the £5 super chat. Did you hear people claim Rock hates Shazam? He did EP the film.
Executive
yeah, but I will say his ego is big since clearly he only wants to fight Superman. Well, okay. There's a couple things going on here. Number one is The Rock is shooting for the biggest target in DC, which is Superman. Superman is the big character. He's the big one. Fighting Shazam, a character who hasn't really interacted with anybody else, who had a modest film, wasn't going to generate any buzz for Black Adam. Black Adam needed, I hate to say this, Black Adam kind of needed the Superman buzz to get the attention that it got, and it's very clear here that that's what happened. So I don't know. I don't think he hated Shazam. Do you think he hated Shazam? I don't think he did. I just don't think it wasn't a target that was going to generate any buzz for the film for Black Adam. It's too much of a comic book thing. I think he was going for the general public, like, I want to fight Superman. That's the one that everybody knows, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that's the case.
For the most part, yeah, that's what it felt like.
Let's see. And Shazam had wasn't a cameo. That's the thing. A cameo would have been Superman showing up in the movie. He was in a mid-credit scene. People keep saying cameo, and I guess it's interchangeable, but for me, that's not a cameo. Is that a cameo? Would you call that a cameo? Maybe.
I guess to an extent, it's like, it's not a cameo like, I don't know, like when Batman showed up in Suicide Squad.
Yeah, see, that to me was a cameo.
Yeah.
I get it. I'm not going to say you're wrong, Thomas. I don't consider it a cameo. I consider it and by the way, Aldous Hodge came out and said that they didn't even know about it. And I'm like, of course you didn't know about it, because you didn't get him till he wasn't able to film until like right before the movie came out. So no one knew about it. That's why. All right, let's see. I think we're caught up on super chats there. We did have a Team Eric member chat from Lance, though, that said, by the way, Lance apparently is going to Comic-Con. So Citizen Tim Scott said, stay classy, China, as a Team Eric member chat. Sorry, I missed that. Lance says, hey, first time commenter here after the canceled Who's Line. I'm done with Next Star on the CW. They can't afford a game show. I mean, that's kind of the thing, right? Like, I feel like it doesn't get much cheaper than that, correct? I mean, we talked about that. That's pretty much.
Yeah. Like, if the only other cheap show would be like World's Funniest Animals. That's probably, if they canceled that, that's when you know that.
Yeah.
They get in cheap.
Yeah. So yeah, versus Harcourt was a cameo. Yeah, I would consider that a cameo. Sorry if I spoiled that for anybody, but if you haven't seen it by now, you're not going to see it until it comes out at home. All right, so I'm going to take a second to ask the chat. We have both Titans to talk about and Stargirl. Give me a general idea in the chat which one you would like for us to talk about first. I'm just going to give you guys, like, take a minute in the chat and let us know which one you want to talk about first, because I have my notes for both of them. All right, I see some Titans, some Stargirl, Titans. Oh, this is going to be tough. Oh, I see a lot of Stargirl now. All right. Okay, we're getting a lot of mixed signals. So, Paigey, do you have your handy coin flip app?
I do. It's right here.
Okay. So I'm going to say heads, Stargirl, tails, Titans. So flip the coin.
Flipping in 3, 2, 1. It was heads.
So Stargirl first.
Yeah. Heads.
Stargirl first. All right, we're going to talk about Stargirl first then. Let me scroll down my notes here. So we had Stargirl season 3, episode 9, The Monsters. And this is going to be with spoilers, just so everybody knows. This episode focused on trauma and the stuff surrounding Cameron and his family. We also get a side story with Mike and Jakeem, which leads to some interesting stuff at the end. And we have some other side stuff with Pat, Barb, and the Crocs. It was an interesting episode. I feel like we're in that point of the season where we're starting to set up what the finale is going to be. So I thought that in that way we had a lot of interesting stuff go down. What did you think in terms of this episode? I saw some people complaining that it was just way too slow for the first like half an hour. Would you agree with that or not?
Yeah, but I think I don't know if it was slow. I think it was just building up to the fight at the end and all that stuff. Like,
yeah,
I think it was just a build up.
Yeah, a lot of people, I saw people on social media calling it like Slow Girl, and I was like, oh gosh, like.
Yeah, but there might be people with the attention spans of a peanut.
So I was like, all right, Slow Girl, got it. But this episode we have Courtney making up with the JSA, and then she drops the bombshell that she wants to tell Cameron about everything, everyone and their secrets. Now, when this conversation was going on, in my mind, I was thinking that's not really her place to do that, right? Like, I get that she wants to tell Cameron about her and who she is and the stuff with the, with his father or whatever. But I think they needed to be more considerate of other team members' secret identities. How do you feel about that? I thought that was like Courtney's asking too much of the team at this point.
Yeah, it felt like it felt like almost like a desperation move of sorts, just because
Yeah,
I think it's like a fork in the road in regards to what to do with this whole
yeah,
Cameron situation. But I felt like her going to Yolanda first, there's like a backing thing, probably felt a bit weird. You think you could just do it as because like obviously Rick was like the only one that was like fully against it at that point, because previously Yolanda had been on his side
yeah.
in regards to like screw Cameron,
Mhm.
and the whole, even like the whole Cindy stuff as well. So yeah, I think Courtney probably knew what she was doing if she was able to get Yolanda on her side, and also Yolanda was in a very vulnerable position of the fact that she'd just been kicked out.
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing is that I think Rick is still suffering from whatever's going on with his the hourglass. So he's not in the
Yeah.
right frame of mind to make any kind of like logical decision. Um hey, what's up, introverted unicorn? Good to see you in the chat. Um so yeah, I felt like it was just she was asking too much of the team, but everyone sort of just goes along with it except for Rick. So you knew that something was going to happen with Rick in regards to that. Then we also have the stuff going on with Cameron and his grandparents. I have to say, his grandparents have annoyed me pretty much this season with this whole like he can't do art, he can't do it. Oh God, he drew on a piece of paper. So angry. Um, I know that they were trying to make the connection that his mother was also an artist, which we finally got to kind of in this episode. But I felt like this storyline was hyper drawn out, like with his grandparents, because they were so angry, or at least his grandmother was so angry about this art thing. I just felt like it was kind of like it didn't. I don't know. It wasn't compelling for me. So I'm glad that they wrapped it up in the episode and they kind of finally drew the connection to it. What about you? Were you totally, because I know that we didn't really talk about it week to week, but the issue with the art stuff, I never truly understood like why she didn't want him to do art. Because they weren't training him, they weren't doing any weird stuff with him to like brainwash him. It just kind of like was like they just didn't want him to do, or she didn't want him to do art,
Well, no,
right?
I thought the whole art thing was because it was an avenue to lead out of the family, and that the
Mm,
grandmother wanted him to be family first, family focused, everything like that. And not only, and the art stuff seemed to, I think if you taking the art away made him unhappy, which would make him maybe not want that, which wouldn't allow that connection to Courtney grow.
mm,
So sort of like ruling that out would rule Courtney out as well.
yeah. I
So
just,
because she wanted to be family first.
yeah, it wasn't one of those things where it bothered me to the point where I wanted to rant about it, but I just felt like it was something that just went on for a little bit too long. And I was like, all right. So finally wrap that up. And then we have Courtney going to speak to Cameron to do what she talked about earlier, which is kind of let him know about everything that's going on. And while this is going on, we have the stuff with Mike and Jakeem where they are worried about Cindy because, I think Jakeem points out when they're having their breakfast before delivering papers that Cindy had their back, but they didn't have her back. And now they want to use Thunderbolt to help her, I guess, because of what she's dealing with. I felt like this is the first time that their story was actually like interesting to me. I felt like we finally got to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm invested in what's going to happen with the story, because each week I was complaining that their story felt so sort of tag on, but this time it felt like it actually meant something. And they want to go and do this. They have like the thing with Thunderbolt, you can't ask the same question twice, and they're trying to figure all this out. Are you happy with the direction of their story? Do you think that it's finally picking up a little bit, or were you liking it before now? Because I feel like we kind of needed this week's episode to keep us invested in what was going on with the two of them.
Well, yeah, well, I always thought that it'd lead up to something, and it was obviously like their just general curiosity has pushed it in that direction. Um, I'm just wondering whether what we see is a misdirect or not.
Do you mean with their story towards the end of the episode.
Yeah, when Ultra Human, I mean spoiler, but when
we go ahead and talk about that because it's not really connected to what's going on with
like like when Ultra Humanite shows up, and I'm like, well, does that mean he's the one that killed the gambler and the one that attacked? Because
right, like how is that connected together? I was like, okay, this cool, very cool, but I'm trying to like put the pieces together, the puzzle pieces together. I mean, they show us in the episodes like every week we're watching the puzzle get put together. People are like, what does this have to do with the skull? What does it have to do with the people watching the cameras? Obviously, that's not Ultra Humanite. Like how does this all work? And I guess that all comes back to the mystery of everything. Do you think they're going to be able to nail this? Because now we're starting, like I said, pieces are starting to come together. Do you think we're going to get to the end and feel satisfied with the way this is going to
I think the fact that things are popping up that weren't there before makes me think that it will work when it gets there. Okay. I think usually when it's an issue is when you are at this point and all the stuff has been there since earlier in the season and it's still there lingering. Mm-hmm. But at this point, they've been ruling stuff out, or now they're just introducing new stuff which connects to other build-up. Mm-hmm. So I think it's going to work. But we still have, 4 episodes to go.
Yeah, but I wonder if a lot of people are like, is this going to be connected to Grodd and Salivar and that storyline? I'm like, I don't think they're going to do more than one CGI gorilla on the season. Maybe they will somehow. I don't know how they would even do it, but maybe possibly. So we have that going on. But also, Mr. Dysinger, I think that's his name, the art teacher, gets killed by the grandmother before Courtney comes over. Did you expect that? That was a random thing.
When he showed up, I was like, well, he's dead. Obviously. I didn't need that scene to play out to know he was going to die.
I actually feel like he was there specifically for us to learn about the mother, about Cameron's mother and her artwork.
Well, I think just to bring it back, because it was mentioned in previous seasons, like last season as well.
But I think that they were trying to like remind us about like that story and everything, because I think that it kind of had been so long since that happened. So that's one of the things where I was like, okay, I'm kind of glad they did that. But yeah, as soon as he showed up and walked in, I was like, R.I.P. I mean, that's it. Yeah. Whoops. Yeah, there we go. R.I.P. Mr. Dysinger. Cody with a $10 super chat and a Team Eric member. He goes, I have a theory about that crossover with Titans because the CW exists in their universe. It is a fictional version of Stargirl, and Gar gets pulled into the TV. Oh. Like magically pulled into a TV, maybe?
Are we sure it's not going to be that thing that we see and he goes and like remember when he goes into in Star Labs and Titans, when he goes into that weird like animal landscape, whether it is some like magic stuff that gets brought in?
Yeah.
I remember this season's magic based, so that's where like the multiverse stuff could be thrown in.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a good theory. I feel like I'm just going to be happy to see her, because we know that that'll come after, after Stargirl's done. So, there we go. All right, so we have the scene now where Courtney is talking to Cameron. The grandmother interrupts Courtney, and we think that's going to be a thing. And then Rick just kind of like destroys the wall, the back of the house. Completely crashes down and destroys the wall. Still being affected by No Limiter on the Hourglass. And we get a really cool fight scene where Yolanda and Beth show up, and they have to fight the grandparents, which, by the way, how funny was it watching Yolanda like beat up on an old woman? Like, I was like, what in the world are we watching here? Right? I mean, she was like, the grandmother was flipping around and jumping off the wall, and I'm like, what's happening in the scene? Like, okay, I like the fight scene, but there was a lot of sketch stuff in it where I was like, what? But yeah, the grandmother flipping around was hilarious. I absolutely love that part. The grandfather was facing off against Beth, which it seemed like, I don't think he was trying to really hurt her. I think he was trying to scare her.
I think he was trying to like calm down the altercation.
Yeah, because I don't think he was going all in on her. But now she has like this sort of, combat mode with the goggles, which I like the fact that it connected to like, Cape Shield and things like that. And she had the defibrillator. Did I say that right? Defibrillator? I think whatever. The thing that they use to make your heart, come back when you go
shocky paddles. Yeah. I think that's what they call
all of that made sense. The one thing that I didn't like was the let's learn karate on command type thing. I was like, I didn't like that. I wasn't a fan of that. But I love Beth, and I think that it makes sense for the suit to have tech stuff, but teaching you how to do karate with voice commands, not so much on that one. But yeah, everything else I thought was really good with that. And then we had Rick fighting against Cameron, which I have to give Cameron credit. He held his own against Rick, and I was kind of curious, how did he do that? Does he have enhanced strength and stuff too? Because it seemed like he was able to block punches and stuff. Is it just because he's a metahuman? Is that why?
My thing was more he was actually fighting, dodging punches, and fair enough, him getting hit and him taking it, but it was more the
like a ninja fight. It was like a martial arts fight or something.
As if he'd gone to some taekwondo classes or something like that.
Well, the one that got me was I was willing, up until a certain point, I was willing to just not think about it. I'm like, okay, whatever. He's using his powers. Is when he slid under Rick and then did this weird run up the wall backflip thing, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
That was the one where I'm like, hold on. I audibly said that as we were watching. I was like, no, wait. When did he learn that? And I'm wondering if it has something to do with just where his powers come from. I don't know. Anyway, I liked the scene. I thought it was a very cool scene, but there's a lot of questionable stuff that happened in that moment. But I will say, in terms of fight scenes, it's really strange to me that I think between all of the Arrowverse shows, with the exception of Arrow itself, because Arrow had really good fight scenes, out of all of the Arrowverse shows, including The Flash, Stargirl has some of the best visual fight choreography, right? Yeah. Would you agree with that? I mean, it's really cool to watch it, and it's not shot in the shadows. It's always in most of the time it's in a well-lit scene where you can see what's going on. Yeah, I really like it. I think that Stargirl does a really good job with that. So whether or not it made a lot of sense to me, I'm going to say the same thing that I said with the lightsaber battle on The Flash. It looked cool. It was entertaining. I don't know if all of it made 100% sense, but I liked it. What about you? Your thoughts on that whole fight scene in the episode?
Yeah, it was well choreographed and everything. But I think it was also meant to be overly, look, let's piece together the logic around it. I think it was just meant to be a bit of fun. But yeah, I thought the Cameron Rick fight was obviously the highlight of it. Yeah, but I thought it was well done.
So David Zaslav, who while sitting at the Warner Brothers Discovery, has decided that Superman and Lois has better fight scenes, but Stargirl is a close second. And Thomas here says exactly what I'm thinking. Superman is more CGI, but Stargirl is more practical wire work, which I think is more fun to watch.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Stargirl definitely has the better fight scenes.
Yeah,
you can say that Superman has the bigger fight scenes because it's flying and lasering and punching. And,
I can see people arguing in either direction, but I think that I find Stargirl's fight scenes
on a choreography level, it's 100% Stargirl. No,
yeah. See, Dinah says their stunt team does a great job with the fight choreography. It does every time. You wait, there's always a 2 or 3 episode gap between these big fight scenes, but when you get them, they're always really well done. The supermarket fight scene was extremely well done. This one was extremely well done. It reminds me of the high school fight with Eclipso last season, which was a really, really, really well done. I don't think I've seen a better choreographed fight scene than that. That was an amazing, amazing fight scene. So yeah, pretty good. And we had some stuff with Pat and Barbara with some really emotional moments. I thought that was pretty sad hearing about what happened with Mike's mom. And then we had the stuff with Barbara and Tigress and, Pat and Crusher and, all of that stuff. I thought it was a pretty good episode, and then we have to figure out what's going on with the whole gorilla situation. Paige is typing over on Twitch because over there you can say and do whatever you want. But I thought it was good. So I quite enjoyed this episode. Again, I think Stargirl's just got a continuous like quality to it that we expect from the show. I would probably give this one my number scores because people hate letter scores. So I'm going to do my number score. I would probably give this one like a 8.5, 8 to 8.5 out of 10. I'm wondering what people in the chat think. Give your scores below. I think the bulk of my score on this episode is from the fight scene because it was just so good. As like a standalone fight scene, like you could just take it out of the episode and watch it. I think it was really, really strong. Best episode of the season. All right. There we go. We get some nines, a lot of nines, 9.5. Wow. A lot of people were enjoying this one. All right. So now we're going to move over and talk about our final topic for today, which is the premiere of Titan Season 4, Episodes 1 and 2, which were titled Lex Luthor and Mother Mayhem. And this is a show that I've been like talking about off and on for the last month or so, where I was like, the more I see of it, the more I get excited about the season. And I was like, going into it, I had expectations. And I'm happy to say that all of my expectations were met. I think this is a really strong start for Titans. Would you agree with that or no?
Yeah, I think it was a decent start because I didn't have really any expectations going into it because I think Titans is one of those shows you're safe for not doing that because you're just going to get burnt at the end of the day. I mean, look at last season, and I agree with everyone. Like, the funny thing is that I maybe didn't like I thought the first 3 episodes of last season were good, but everyone was getting them 10 out of 10s, and I was like, "It's a 10 out of 10." It's like I'm enjoying it, and I was thinking, oh, okay, maybe it's just in comparison because season 2 was so shite, and I was like, okay, well, that fair enough because just based off what you last see. But then I think I enjoyed the back half of the season more than people. Like people were hating on it, and I thought, oh, okay, it's not great, but it's fine. It's watchable.
You mean the back half of season 3?
Season 3. Okay. You know how people said it like dropped off heaps, and I thought, yeah, it dropped off, but I didn't think it dropped off that much. So it was weird. I didn't love it as much people at the beginning, but also didn't hate it as much as people at the end. Which I thought was weird. But I think you're always safe playing it with Titans because we know they could shit the bed again. They could shit the bed.
I mean, it could happen. You're right.
It's magic based as well, so we don't know. Like magic stuff, comic book, we've had bad experiences with it in the past. So it could shit the bed in the final 5 episodes or part 2, whenever it was comes out next year. But the first 2 episodes I thought were really solid. I don't really have any issues. I think it's like maybe like I think the only issue is maybe it's just that the cast is like they still got to bounce around a lot. But it's only 2 episodes, and not much really happens in the first 2 episodes at the same time. We'll talk about that before. Like story-wise, it's very like it feels like over the first 2 episodes, really only like 1 episode of story really happens. Yeah, and then they're just playing it safe because of what they're dealing with before they jump into it. Like really, the most extreme stuff is maybe like it's a bit darker than I thought it would be. Yeah. Because it doesn't have to be that dark, but obviously that like you hammer home with that type of stuff. But yeah, solid start.
So so that we're gonna get into spoilers now, Kita. Spoilers okay for Titans. We're gonna be talking spoilers now. So if you haven't seen it and you don't want to be spoiled, you can head out. But there's only like one major spoiler at the end of the 2nd episode and one in the 1st episode. So there's not a lot to spoil, honestly. Anyway, we start out with the team sort of it feels almost like I don't want to say a reboot, but it feels like a tonal shift because in Gotham, everything was so edgy and like hyper, like mature. But then in this season, it's like, it feels like they've got a balance of like the edgy stuff from previous seasons, but also sort of more of a comic book feeling to it, which I appreciate. Did you notice that tone change in the show with the first 2 episodes?
Well, I said in my review for it, and I also said it to you, is that it feels like season 1, but not edgy.
Right.
And that doesn't mean like in regards to the time, but even what they're dealing with, like in season 1, they're dealing with like weird, like cult-like stuff and Trigon and which technically even like Trigon, that story can connect to what you're doing this season with Brother Blood. So it sort of feels like season 1, but just not trying to be as edgy as it was, like swearing every 3 minutes and everything like that. So yeah, I understand what you mean by like feel like a bit of like a reboot, refresh of sorts, like a soft reboot.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like a new show. It just feels like they're going, okay, well, we know that there was errors here with what we did here, and we'll just try and make it feel more like a Titan show.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So I love the focus so far on Superboy. I think he's probably. Would you agree that like season 2's episode of Superboy was the best episode in that season? I think it was.
I think it's the best episode the show's done.
Right. So having him back and being such an important character is extremely interesting to me because I've always liked that version of Superboy. I think he's the one that a lot of fans love, especially because of the ties to the cartoons. And so seeing him be sort of focused in on this series and wanting to find his parents, wanting to know, about Superman and about Lex Luthor, it was very compelling to me. Going into the storyline that we get for the first 2 episodes. And I actually love the fact that Superman wanted to meet him. And then we're getting excited about possibly seeing Superman. And then we just see like a little blip on a screen. And they're like, oh, that's Superman. Pick which one you want. Do you want the Henry Cavill one? That's who it is. You want Tyler Hoechlin? That's who it is. Do you think we're going to see Superman this season at all? Even for like a second or no?
Well, I don't know if they can do it. Like my only thought is that they can do something where it's Clark Kent, just sort of how they could use Bruce Wayne but not Batman. I don't know. I'm not too sure if they can use Superman. Because my whole thought is that like if they weren't able to, then why would they bother doing this?
Right.
Because you're just annoying people. They're like, oh, you're gonna tease him coming up, and then oh no, he doesn't show up.
Right.
Oh, you're teasing him. Oh no, he doesn't show up. Oh, you're not teasing him.
Some people are asking about Clark Kent. Do you think it's likely we'll see Clark Kent if we don't see Superman?
I think Clark Kent is more likely than Superman.
Okay. Interesting. But then we get the whole thing where Lex uses this technology to reach out to Connor and says he wants to meet him. And so that sets up the storyline of him not meeting Superman, but getting to meet Lex Luthor. And of course, everyone's like, you should know your parents, but Lex is Lex. And this is the kind of person he is. So they want to do a little research and figure some things out. And while this is going on, we also have the story with Lex looking or at the temple with Azeroth and, firing. What was the lady's name that he fired? I don't remember her name.
Well, that was Mother Mayhem.
Yeah, but what's her character name? Does she have an actual name?
Is it like the comics? Is it May Bennett?
I don't know. I feel like he said it.
Is it May Bennett in the comics?
Anybody in the chat remember what that name was? Because
May Bennett? Yeah, May Bennett. Is it May Bennett?
Yeah.
Anyway, on the show.
So, he fires her. So she's got like this vendetta against him, obviously. And we get I'm trying to remember the order of events here. So we have them doing this research, which they go and they research inside of, because we're talking about both episodes here. I'm kind of skipping around. We're not doing like episode 1, episode 2. So they're researching Lex and trying to dig up information about him. And we get the really cool scene with Nightwing fighting the ninjas in the building, which I thought was really neat. A daytime fight scene, which was really well done. I enjoyed that because, previously on the last 3 seasons of Titans, fight scenes kind of happen in the dark. So seeing them fight in a well-lit building was kind of different. So I enjoyed that. And while that was going on, we had Coriander who broke into Lex's building and just beat up his whole entire, was security team or whoever it was that was there. And they're using that technology, like a USB drive that has wings on it, which at first I was like, what is that? Have we seen that before on the show? I don't think we had. Was that used before? So the little USB drive with wings on it? I don't think we'd seen that before on the show.
I don't think it might be a. Wasn't it given to them by Star Labs or was it a new?
No, it was Wayne Tech.
I know it's probably just a bad gadget that they ran.
Yeah. I hoped it had little bat wings, but I couldn't tell what kind of wings it had on it. Anyway, so they had that going on, but of course Lex knew about all of that, and that's why the ninjas attacked them. So it was a really good series of events that were going on in that situation. And we get a snake that comes out of Lex's mouth and kills him in the process. And of course, we find out later on that he's not the only one, that other people involved with this whole searching for the temple and everything, they're also being cursed with these snakes. And we see the snake, it comes out and Connor picks it up and uses his heat vision on it to burn it up. And he gets framed for the murder of Lex. And that kind of sets up that storyline. But something else that's really interesting is, what do you think happened to the other snakes? Because we know that there's the one that Connor burns up. There's the one that Coriander, disintegrates. But there are other ones that got out. Are we going to see those come back? You think we'll see any more of them?
I don't know. Is it a normal snake? Is it a demonic snake?
That's what I mean. I don't understand what it is.
I mean, if it's a normal snake, it might just go live in the wild. But I don't know if it's a demonic snake. I don't know if it, because I don't think I know. But we don't know the whole process, like the original stuff.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Does it initially climb in? Is that the whole process? Does it go in as a little snake and grow in there? I don't know.
But I was actually kind of shocked that they killed Lex off so early. Super, super early. I didn't see that coming at all.
I didn't see it coming, but when it happened, I was like, oh, well, that makes sense why they were able to use Lex Luthor.
I wonder in the chat, anybody feel like they were cheated by getting rid of Lex so soon? Because I actually was starting to like this version of Lex. I'm like, oh, this one's going to be kind of interesting. He's different from any other version we've had on TV. So yeah, it's kind of weird. Do you think he's going to come back at the end of the season? You think we'll see him again in a flashback? Do you think he's gone? That's it, done?
I don't know. There could always be a clone, or that was never the real Lex to begin with. Why would the real Lex put himself out there?
Also, do you like how they kept calling him Alexander Luthor?
Yeah,
they said his name Alexander several times, because we were watching it and everybody was like, that's really weird. They keep calling him Alexander. So anyway, they have the storyline where they lock up Superboy and he's obviously innocent and they have to clear his name, and they finally do it. I'm glad that wasn't the storyline for the whole season. I would have been really annoyed if he would have been locked up in a kryptonite cell for the rest of the season. So I'm glad that they got that figured out, because I thought that was a pretty compelling storyline. So yeah, Lance says they were only allowed to use him for one episode. That's what I heard. I wouldn't be surprised. So that sucks. I thought he was quite interesting as a character, but he was just there to set up the Superboy storyline. So there you have it. Lex Luthor is dead in the Titans universe. I just have to take that in for a moment. But while this is going on, we also have the stuff with Star Labs. We have the stuff with Gar, where they gave him this new technology, and there's something going on with him, which is obviously tied to the magical stuff that's happening in Metropolis. With the shape shifting, I thought it was really cool how they did that, where he kind of went to change and then he comes back, and after being in that animal world, the whole this room in Star Labs is destroyed, and he doesn't remember any of it. What do you think is going to be happening with that storyline? Do you think that's something that's directly connected to the magic stuff? Maybe the snake stuff? What do you think that has to do with anything?
I think it's just more like a grasp on his powers, but it might connect to that episode 7, I think it is, or 6 or 7, which is the one that Stargirl and Doom Patrol's in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it might be just him controlling his powers more and being able to change into more and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then we have the stuff with Tim.
And also, you know what's annoying that they didn't show him as a gorilla?
Why?
Because you weren't able to confirm whether he stays in the suit as the animal or not. Remember you were talking about the little toes and everything?
I hope he does, because I want to see the toes and the fingers and everything be in the suit. That would be really cool. So we have the stuff with Tim and Bernard from Star Labs, which a lot of people were freaking out about, but it was kind of sort of an innocent storyline so far. There's really not a lot.
I think the issue is if it progresses, because the dude's clearly in his late 20s and Tim's meant to be a teenager, isn't he?
Yes, you're right.
Isn't he still in school? Isn't he in high school? Or was it he was in high school?
Wait a minute, hold on. Let me see.
I might be wrong, but
I don't know if they have an age assigned to him, but I'm gonna look and see. Doesn't say what his age is. Yeah, it doesn't say.
16. Some people.
But the actor's 24, so
yeah, I think it's just the character wise.
I wonder if they're gonna. I wonder if they're going to establish him as 18 in the season, because the weird thing is this has only been like what, a week, I think, since the end of last season.
That's where they were on the road trip after they left Gotham.
Yeah, but I think it was Starfire who said it's been a week.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like that's the road trip. Yeah.
So it's been relatively soon after what happened in Gotham. So, all right, we're gonna wait and see what happens with that storyline, because so far it seemed like a very innocent flirtish thing, but like, I mean, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna hold on to that one. But Tim gets a what is it, a boa staff or bow staff, I think is what they call it.
Staff,
like the one that pops out. It reminds me of that one where you see like the TikTok videos where people are like flipping around the little stick and then pops out into a staff or whatever.
The little thing they buy off eBay for like $15 or something.
Yeah. It was kind of a weird thing to give someone without any kind of tactical suit, because you think you'd want them to have something that was like
they poke their eye out or something.
Yeah, like it was kind of weird. But apparently they're going to be training him, and the training even starts in the second episode, I believe, from this premiere. So he's going to be training. I don't know how long it's going to be before he actually learns how to use it, but it's going to be a hopefully a hot minute before it happens.
What's the age of consent in Metropolis?
We're not getting into that. We're not going to get into that. We're not. We'll cross that bridge when it happens. Yeah. Okay. So David here. What did you think of the Star Lab's design? To me, it looked like a generic lab. To me, that doesn't mean anything bad. It looked like what I expected a generic lab to look like. The one on the Flash is unique because it's got like a set built around like Team Flash and stuff. This one just looked like it looked like a really expensive lab, which is fine. Maybe we'll see more of it, but for me, it just was kind of generic. What did you think of it?
Star Labs, the one on the Flash looks like an actual lab, while the one on Titans looks like, the ones that like there's always that one like scientific place that's made to be like a fun house, so like for like field trips and stuff. That's what Star Labs on Titans is. It doesn't feel like it's meant to be an actual functioning laboratory. It's meant to be like a something that people pay and go to.
Tim Drake is not gay. He's a bisexual character. And it's established in the comics. They're just picking up the story from the comics. So it's not like the show is doing anything that hasn't been done in the comics already with that character. Even if they did, I don't think it really matters. But yeah, I think they just want to do something different with the character. So let's see. Starfire. I think Anna does a great job in this role. She's kind of been the anchor for me every season. I haven't had too much of an issue of her stories. What did you think of her here?
Well, there's not really that much of her, so it's more like maybe like more of the personal side of her with and how she's dealing with like the stuff from last season. But like, she doesn't really do much. But then again, like most of these first two episodes is either Starboy, Superboy, or Raven focused. So like they're the two characters that really get the focus.
Yeah.
And that's usually how Titans rolls out. Like a character get 2 episodes here, and another character get 2 episodes here, or whatever it might be. But then last season, like I guess it was intended to be very Starfire focused, but then it sort of like falls off.
It actually because the connection with her sister and that whole storyline, it
feels like they changed the storyline halfway through and just decided we're not going to keep doing that. And just like, oh, okay.
So they also did point out that she's not using all of her power. So I'm assuming she's going to get some sort of boost. And we find out that she's the one Titan who seems to have the ability to fight against Mother Mayhem. Because everyone else got rocked, basically.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see what that means in the big scheme of things. Also want to point out, I like Raven a lot better now that the actor is older. I feel like she's more of what I expected from that character from the first season. So I'm glad that they did that. We talked about this a little bit off stream. Do you think that they had a different idea of what the show was going to be in season 1, which is why they cast such a young actor to play Raven opposed to where it is now in season 4?
Yeah, I don't think they intended the show to be as edgy as it wasn't in season 1 and everything like that. So I think they cast specifically, I guess, her, if we're talking about the Raven stuff. And then the show sort of changed, but they'd already cast the character, and yeah, because it just felt it felt like they were restricted because she was young. And I mean, look, we were just talking about then, Tim's what, 16 on the show? Raven was meant to be what, like 13 or something like that?
Yeah.
And they easily could have cast, like, I know but they easily just could have made Raven 15 or something and cast a 19-year-old or something.
Yeah.
I mean, you got apparently what, 23-year-old, 24-year-old playing a 16-year-old. I mean, that's a TV thing as well. Like, how many? I mean, look on Riverdale. There's like a 33-year-old playing a 17-year-old or something like that.
Yeah,
it happens all the time.
But I just like the character to me now, especially with the usage of powers and stuff like that, feels more like the version of Raven that I personally wanted to see. So I'm glad to see it that way. So
yeah, I think it's the Raven they would have wanted in season 2,
right
after that season 1 progression. But I think it's just, and Raven's just been a character that's just sort of like been stop and start. I mean, last season she wasn't even there for half the season. She was gone on Themyscira. So
now this isn't specifically to anybody else, but I've said this for a while that if a character doesn't explicitly talk about their sexuality, we need to stop assuming that their default is just heterosexual, because writers now might want to wait until that story later on. So you get introduced to a character in like season 1, they have no love interest. And then by season 3, you find out that they're bisexual, they're pansexual, something along those lines. They're a lesbian, they're gay. That doesn't mean that it was never established. They're establishing it when they establish it. Like, that's the whole point. The only time it feels like a weird situation is if a character is explicitly in a heterosexual relationship where they're like, I'm straight, this is the love of my life, blah, 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 whatever, if that's established, and then they just switch all of a sudden, then that would be weird. But if they don't cover something, just stop defaulting it to one thing or another. Like, don't default someone as gay because they act a certain way, and you're like, oh, that's obviously a stereotypical gay character, but they're not in a relationship, but they must be gay. Like we need to wait for the writers to get to that point.
I think it's because so many other shows just straight out of the gate just make it obvious that someone is this, that, or the other.
It's true. It is true.
So Titans has gone about it in a different way.
Yeah.
And that's maybe because they weren't too sure, maybe. They weren't too sure if Tim was even going to be in this season, because they weren't sure how the character was going to be received. So that's,
we also have to understand, I also want to put this out there, that if a person is living their life under the guise of being heterosexual and then comes out as a gay person later, that doesn't mean that they were never gay. It also doesn't mean that the writers were never intending for them to be gay. The whole point of like National Coming Out Day and things like that is so people who are not comfortable talking about their sexuality actually finally do talk about their sexuality. So they bring it up as a way to, like, say, this is who I am. I finally feel comfortable talking about it. So if a character is in a relationship and they are in a quote unquote heterosexual relationship, and then they're like, but I've, been doing some soul searching and, now I'm a lesbian, like, obviously with Supergirl and stuff. That's also not a problem. That's a very real life thing that happens. It's actually more natural than sometimes having a character just showing up and being a gay character or lesbian or whatever from the beginning. So I think it's okay for them to do that. It can be jarring for people watching it, but then put yourselves in the shoes of people who did have to come out. Imagine how difficult it was for them. So if there's an uncomfortable nature to it, it's supposed to be that way. I think that's the intention of it.
I think the quote to use is that, I think they say this in France, Eric, everyone's a little gay.
Is that an official French quote?
I think it might be maybe it's a bit loose there, but I think it's like everyone's sometimes a little gay. I think that's how it usually rolls.
But yeah, so just don't get so hung up on that. Let the stories be told and see where the characters go. I feel like the hyper focus on that kind of stuff is why it keeps getting stigmatized. So, Maddie says that he's gay for you, Paigey. So there you go.
Okay. I saw someone say they were gay for pay as well on the chat. I'm not too sure.
do what you got to do. Let's put it that way. Lance here with the 998 super chat, who is going to be joining us in the next couple weeks, I think. Whose Star Lab was better, Titans or Naomi? And Connor will be going full Lex in the season. Also from Neutral, looks like Gorilla Guard doesn't wear clothes. Oh, so Pagey, Green Gorilla clothes, maybe.
So there's Green Gorilla naked.
Maybe.
Green Gorilla dong.
Titans or Naomi Star Labs is better. I'm gonna say Titans. It just looked more like a actual big, lab. Naomi was kind of like Connor and Lex will be going full Lex this season from the also from the trailer. Do you want to see that? Do you want to see Connor doing like his Lex type storyline? Would you like to see that? Is that something you're looking forward to? Hello. What are you doing?
Hello.
Do you want to see yeah.
Give me 2 seconds. You keep talking out your ass. I've got headphone issues.
All right.
I can't hear you. You can hear me.
Yes. All right. So in the chat, what did everyone think about keep saying hold on here. What did everyone think about the fight scene at the end where we got to see the Titans facing off against Mother Mayhem? Did we like it? Did we not like it? I thought it was really good. I know we saw the clip early, so that took a little bit of the zest, I guess, out of it. But I still enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. And it seems like the cinematography and visual effects are much, much better this season than they have been in previous seasons. So curious what the chat thinks of that. What do you guys think? The fight scene looked weird with Nightwing. Interesting. One thing that's disappointing in that fight was not allowing Beast Boy to turn into an animal. That's all. Yeah, I get it. So, Sean, you're upset about the way they handled the storyline with Jade and Obsidian from Stargirl. I know we're not really talking about Stargirl, but I will chime in for a second. Yeah, I was a little disappointed as well. But I think that a lot of that has to do with the fact that they were hoping to somehow bring them back later on. And we may or may not see that this season since it's wrapping up. So not totally sure. Wild Relic, the fight scene was short but interesting. I always praise Titans for its VFX, and that's for me who does VFX on the side. Okay. That's pretty cool. You back, Pagey? Guess he's not back. All right. The fight scene will always look a little bit off because they always switch between Nightwing and a stunt double, Mufasa Balut, who doubles for Brenton Thwaites. Interesting. Pagey has disappeared. That was not me. That was not me. Where did he go? I think he's returned. Let's see. Is he alive?
I can hear clearly now.
There he goes.
Pain has gone. Yeah.
Technical issues. Was that an L for Pagey? I think that was an L for Pagey.
Bluetooth headphones are running out of battery, even though I literally charged them yesterday. And then I plugged in my other things and they weren't working. I just had to leave and come back.
My YouTube app keeps closing on me randomly. It's weird. Did you need to update it? I haven't had that happen. So, all right. We also had a character who when I did my review, I tried to figure out who it was and I had to look again today. Apparently the character that's in people's, like the one that's like attacking people through their minds and then killing them in real life is a character named Raven Mask. Is that a character from the comics?
Raven Mask. I don't know.
The guy with the bone mask.
Is that what it was called on the show?
Well, I looked it up, and according to the casting notes, that's the name of the character, Raven's Mask. I'm assuming it's connected to Raven because that seems to be a storyline that she's dealing with. But his name, according to the credits, is Raven's Mask. I don't know that character from the comics. I thought about it and I'm like, I don't think I've ever heard of that character before.
Yeah.
So they said also that he's based on Dracula.
No, the character's name was it Peter Holgram? That's like a character in Dracula. The story
Yeah,
from
but I'm
Dracula.
saying like with the whole draining of blood and that kind of. They were saying that was the. I'm a little bit confused about that character. I don't know what he's supposed to be.
Well, it doesn't matter now. He's dead.
Yeah, but the mask itself was called Raven's. Like the character name was titled Raven's Mask in the credits. I was like, weird.
Yeah, was it meant to represent Brother Blood? So he was Brother Blood before, but now that he's dead, that's why Sebastian Sanger will now become Brother Blood.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, see, that's it. That's the name that was in the credits.
Arthur Holmwood, yeah.
Raven.
That's
Mask.
a character in the Dracula story, yeah.
Yeah, but Raven Mask is a character. I don't know who that's supposed to be. But anyway, that was a very cool storyline. We got to see Raven using her powers, which I thought was really neat. And then at the end of the battle, we get to see Mother Mayhem absorbing Raven's power and her hair turning white. So are we going to get that storyline from the animated series? Is that what they're planning on doing? Or
it's also a thing in the comics that, well, I don't know. It's because they've done it differently, like in regards to who causes what and who does what, because the white hair was connected to Trigon in the comics. But then she gets her gem goes away, and that's connected to Brother Blood. Right. But that was Mother Mayhem that did that.
Right. So they're changing it up a little bit, is basically what we're getting at.
Yeah,
here.
Which is fine. It was an adaptation you'd expect them to.
Yeah. Look, bottom line is I really enjoyed the first 2 episodes of Titans. I am happy to talk about this every single week. My reviews will be more forthcoming starting next week. So because I wasn't sure if I was going to review it, I kept saying, like, I was flip-flopping, like, should I not? So my review dropped today. If you want to go hear more of my thoughts on it, you can go watch that. It's on my channel. So that's available. And then starting next week, they'll probably go up on Thursday nights. So look forward to that. I'm really excited about the season. Like, it could still shit the bed. It's always a possibility, but I'm very optimistic about it. Are you optimistic about it? Do you feel like this isn't going in a good direction or no?
Hold on. Just let me. Okay. I am in the year 2022. No, because you said the exact same thing about season 3. That was 2021 though. So
I'm asking what you think, not what I think.
Well, I'm just giving my reaction to what you think. And that's what I think.
Andy's saying want to keep watching. I'm going to keep watching. I'm not going to stop watching. You don't have to worry about that. All right. Before we wrap everything up, I want to know what everybody would score.
Well, did you watch season 2 all the way through?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have good strength. You have good willpower.
2 was almost like a sleeping pill.
I rage quit season 2, like halfway through.
Like all of those scenes inside of the building together where they were just walking around and talking and shit. I was like, I can't do this. I would give these first 2 episodes combined together like a 8 out of 10.
Yeah,
I think
it's about
a good
9.
Start. Yeah, I think it's a good start. I'm curious what the chat thinks. If you watch the 2 episodes, what would you give it out of 10? Very curious. So Introverted says Wonder Girl coming back. I don't think she's listed as part of the season that I could find. That doesn't mean she's not going to come back. She could definitely come back, but I didn't see anything with her listed. And, I don't know if Andy can say anything if he sees her any of the other episodes, but I would love to see her come back. That would be really good.
She's one of my favorite 5 out of 10. Ooh.
A 5 out of 10? Is that a troll?
Then again, I think if you can't cop Titans and what it goes for, then I can understand that.
Maybe, but I feel like a 5 is basically saying that it's not even worth watching. Like 5 is pretty low.
I mean, probably give me 5. Probably shouldn't watch it. I mean, it's actually pretty lucky I'm still watching it.
Jose said season 2 is a 4 out of 10. That's being generous.
That's generous.
That's generous.
It's probably a 2 for season 2.
Definitely rough. All right, before we go, I briefly want to talk about Twitter. Can we talk about Twitter for a second before we wrap this up? So apparently if you don't know, Gary's got a super chat. Let's do the super chat first before we talk about Twitter. 49 super chat. Do you think Flash won't get their season 9 and be canceled, and will Superman and Lois season 3 be canceled? No. I would be very shocked if we don't see season 9. I think if they wanted to not do season 9, they would just tell them to not do it. Like, I can't see any reason they would. I mean, they could, but you're asking me what I think, and I think we'll still see season 9. And will there be Superman? Will Superman and Lois season 3 be canceled? No, we'll definitely get season 3. I don't know what we're gonna get after that though. Yeah. Thank you for the super chat, Gary. Good to see you. Staggervore with the 4.9 super chat. Is it possible Titans may bring Kid Flash after the Flash ends? I mean, we have to see if Titans is going to continue or not. We don't really know what's going to happen with that. I will say.
Well, here's the big question, Eric. Would it be a crime against nature and humanity itself if Titans was able to continue, but Superman and Lois wasn't? Would it be considered a war crime?
It would be pretty close.
Would it be considered a hate crime?
Yeah, I think so.
That might be the right definition.
Yeah. If I think we all know, and this is something I've said on many occasions when it comes to speedsters. Speedsters in reality are extremely broken. Extremely broken. In reality, there's very few, and I know the Flash tries to make it seem dramatic. There are very few powered people that could beat a speedster because they're super fast. So even if you have the power of fire, if a speedster is going so fast you can't even initiate your powers, then there's nothing you can do about it. So when it comes to a speedster, there's always going to be some caveat to why they can't do something. You know, either they lose their powers or the villain has some technology that makes it so they're slower. It's a very annoying thing. And looking at the way Titans is, unless they up the ante on the kind of villains they're facing off against, having a speedster on their team would either severely reduce the amount of tension the show can generate, or you would be facing off against villains where someone like a speedster is necessary. And it's weird saying that with Superboy on the team, but Superboy's speed is not used the same way we see in like other iterations. Like he reads fast and we've seen him do some fast stuff here and there, but a speedster, that's literally their power, the speed. So would you want to see a Kid Flash on Titans? Do you think they would, how do you think that would go? Or, do you think it would make the show better or worse? What do you think?
Yeah, but I think if they used him, they wouldn't use him as a proper character. They'd use him as like in one episode and say, "Oh, here's Wally West. Goodbye, Wally West." And that's pretty much what would happen. I don't think they'd use him consistently.
Look what happened with Wally on Legends. Like he was knocked out every week.
Unless the show is based around the speedster aspect, then no. But but Titans is always, even now with the magic stuff, it's still very grounded.
Yeah.
So
I mean, they established right in the beginning that most of the Titans are not going to be able to do well against magic, except for like one character. So, all right, we had a Team Eric member chat from Anthony Beltry. Paigey, which is better, nuggets or a chicken sandwich?
We don't call it a chicken sandwich, we call it a chicken burger. It depends. If you come to Australia, a Zinger burger from KFC is better than any nugget. But McDonald's, I've only had it once, and it was like, God, 2 months ago. They do like it was about a month ago when it first came out. They call it the McSpicy. No, the McSpicy's been there for a while, but now it's the McSpicy with bacon and cheese.
Okay.
And I think England has a burger called the McCrispy, which is just that burger, but not spicy. But yeah, I would say a burger over nuggets like 9 times out of 10.
Okay.
9 times out of 10. However, they don't do them here anymore. I think they're still in America. I think they're just a normal thing on the menu. But Hungry Jack's or Burger King, like the chicken fingers or the chicken fries, yeah, they don't do them here anymore. They did them for like a month and then they went away.
Wow.
They were nice.
There we go.
The McRib comes to Australia like once every 2 years for like a month.
Amethyst, who is a Team Eric member for 34 months. Thank you, Amethyst, says, I'm just playing it by ear, hoping for the best. Yeah. Yeah, you're talking about Twitter. So let's talk about that. So as we know, Twitter is kind of a dumpster fire at the moment. We don't know what's happening with it. Elon has come in and double talked a ton of stuff. but it's his company, so we'll see what he plans on doing with it. I have had a Twitter Blue. When did I first get the Twitter? I remember I told you when I got it. It was like,
I don't know. You had it for
like
a while.
Yeah, like almost a year probably.
Yeah.
I was doing these surveys online that when you do them, they give you Twitter Blue for like 60 days or something. So I've been doing them pretty much consistently to get free Twitter Blue. So that way I can get the perks of, like, you know, undoing tweets and editing tweets and longer videos and ad-free news articles and things like that. There was a lot of reasons why I was doing it. But my Twitter Blue subscription goes until January. Now, the Twitter Blue, the new Twitter Blue, apparently you can actually get a blue check mark on your account. Now, I don't know if that applies to the one that I have or if that's a new thing that they just haven't rolled out, because the Twitter Blue that I got a promo for is like the $3 a month one, I think. And the one that the Twitter Blue now is like $8 a month, something like that. I'm not totally sure. Anyway, I'm really confused on it. But here's the issue. The blue check marks no longer mean verified. So whether they call it verification or not, it doesn't mean that, because from what I understand, you can get the blue check mark without submitting any form of verification. So now everyone who's using Twitter has to be very careful to double check the sources that you're doing, because I don't know if my Twitter Blue is going to give me a blue check mark or not. It might. I have no idea, because I'm not paying for the $8 one. I'm just doing the promo one. Excuse me. But let me ask you, Paige, are you going to pay $8 a month for a blue check mark?
No, I don't fucking use Twitter enough. It'd be pointless. I mean, I think it'd be hilarious if it closed down. Because imagine all the Stan accounts. Like, the Snyder cult would die. The Snyder cult wouldn't exist.
The other thing is, apparently,
all those type of things. I feel bad for some people, because some people rely on it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you could obviously do it elsewhere. But at the same time, I'm more curious to see the people that are like, I'm leaving Twitter. Do it then. Because I don't think it's actually going to change that much.
Well, I think the problem is, though, with this whole,
I think it's going to be extremely, extremely minimal, outside of maybe some of the, like, I got like the political landscape, which, let's be honest, is 100% American. It's 100% American. Everyone outside of America, I don't think Twitter's going to change one bit, outside of the little thing with the way you pay for the check mark and
right. But what I heard, though, is apparently if you're not verified, they're going to suppress your tweets.
I don't really care. I hardly tweet. So
no, it doesn't matter to, like, just the average person. What I mean is that, like, people who are already verified now that don't pay, like, if you're a news outlet and your whole point of being on Twitter is to get out news.
Well, that's smart. Then it's smart by them, because business. There you go, business expense.
No, I know. But what I'm saying is, though, that's the point. Like, it's not a verification system. And I think that's the wrong word to use, because it's not for verifying accounts. Look, I don't have an issue with people
like bumping. It's to pay. It's like on eBay when you pay to bump to get your ad up there.
Yeah, it's essentially boosting your account.
Yeah,
for $8 a month. But the thing is, though, that I'm not going to update mine. When my Twitter Blue thing runs out, whatever that is, it's just going to run out. So it is what it is, I guess, right? But the verification thing, I always felt like when Elon came into Twitter, one of his biggest complaints was that Twitter was unregulated. But then he also wanted Twitter to be free speech. Remember? He's like, oh, I want this to be free speech. I want everybody to have a fair chance to say stuff. But I don't want to pay for Twitter because it's full of bots and it's unregulated.
Yeah, I think
those two things are opposing.
Thoughts. Yeah. I thought when he came in, he was going to do the thing where everyone had to verify an account. So it didn't mean you get a blue tick, but it means you have to put. So if you want to have Eric's Reloaded, you have to put your legal name and you have to show a proof of identity. Like when you do anything really online, that requires.
one of those,
authentication.
like if you use one of those other services, like OnlyFans or one of those other services, there are systems in place to check your identity, to know who you are.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to verify your Twitter, because I always felt like Twitter's verification system was bullshit, to be completely honest. Because when I got the option, they sent me the prompt saying you can apply to be verified after plenty of times trying to do it. I was like, okay, good. I can get verified. All I have to do is prove who I am. But that's not what their verification system was. Their verification system was you have to have an account with like some news site, and that news site has to have your publish your stuff or whatever for X amount of time. And they didn't count YouTube content as that. Even though you can come to my channel and see, oh, he has over 20K subs and he makes videos all day and his face is literally on his video. That's not enough to verify who he is. He has to be a published author on some like random blog site.
Yeah.
So their verification system was never verification. It was bullshit. For the most part, yes, they verified.
Well, like that's the example with like Ben, for example. Like we use Ben for example. Ben's verified on Twitter. The only reason he's verified is because he wrote articles for Screen Rant, which he now doesn't write for. So he quickly got the verification and bailed from Screen Rant.
This is not true. This is not true. I know people who are going to pay for Twitter Blue who've already signed up for this stuff.
Well, it says on the thing. It says on that's not true.
You do not have to prove who you are. Being a real person and being the real person are two different things.
Yeah. Like Eric's been tempted to change his handle to The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the one thing I'm very curious about is like the verification of a handle. So I do wonder if it's going to get to the point in regards to trying to force people to get verified, mainly like already like celebrities and stuff like that, through the system where you pay. Is that, say it's me. So if you follow me on Twitter, you know my handle isn't Pagey. I'd love it to be, but it's not. It's Pagmice because.
But if you pay for it, could you get Pagey?
Yeah, someone already has the handle Pagey. But if I want to verify myself, but I want the handle Pagey, do they give the actual person who holds that handle X amount of time to verify themselves before they give it to me? And they,
I mean, are you just saying shit at this point? No offense, but I watched an interview with him and he absolutely did not say this.
Yeah.
The interview that I watched, he said, if people want to pay $8 a month, they can get this check mark. And if they don't, then their content will get suppressed. Nowhere in that did he say anything about providing government verification. I'm going to need you to link me with an article or a video where he specifically says that he's going to ask people for government verification, because I did not see that in anything that I have seen from him. Not seen that anywhere. So, and how would you government verify an organization? You know what I mean? Like if my Twitter handle is, superheronews.com, how would I verify that? Prove that it's a website? What if I open up a website now called like Pagey Smells Like Poop.com?
Hey, that already exists.
Can I verify that now? Can that be a website? Will that be okay? Like, I'm just saying this whole process is not verification. There's the verification concept doesn't exist. Look, see, he's saying he didn't say that. But the thing I'm trying to tell you is I have painfully watched several interviews with him about this topic. And he wants the money. They're losing ad revenue. Twitter is losing advertisers. And by losing advertisers, they need to make up money somewhere else. The reason why he said he fired a bunch of people is he said they were losing $4 million a day on Twitter, right? I don't know if that's true. That's what he said. So he is trying to circumvent the advertising by making people pay for verification. So turning people away who want to pay for it, which by the way, Lance just went and paid for it, right? Lance, didn't you say you just went and got it? He went and paid for Twitter Blue and did not have to prove who he was. Anybody can create a Google account on their phone, go to the Google Play Store, download Twitter, and pay for Twitter Blue through their Google account without verifying who they are. That is the problem. That's the issue. It's not verification. But again, I didn't like the way the system was before. I don't know if this is any better, but we just need to stop thinking about a blue check mark as verification. It's not. It just means you're paying for Twitter Blue. That's all it means. But I really don't like the idea that someone who says they're the champion of free speech wants to come in and suppress people by not paying for the service. It's his prerogative. He can do what he wants, but those were his words, not mine. I've always said that a company can have terms of service. They can do whatever they want. So if that's what he wants to do, that's fine. It's just the opposite of what he said when he purchased Twitter. So that's kind of interesting. But we'll see. Maybe I'll have a blue check mark if they consider my like promo thing worth giving me a blue check mark. I don't know. I'm not going to pay for it. And Paige, you said you're not going to pay for it either. So
I don't use it. If I use Twitter enough, I would, but I'm on there like the most I use Twitter for is DMs. And I speak to like maybe 3 people through the DMs. Most of my stuff is through like just private stuff, even if it's like Discord or something like
that. And the thing is, they keep saying there's all these like Twitter, like, what do you call it? Like Twitter clone services or apps or whatever. There's really nothing out there like Twitter. So until someone steps up with something that's close enough to Twitter without stealing what Twitter is, people are still going to use Twitter. That's just the bottom line. That's just the bottom line. There are people leaving Twitter. I think it's kind of pointless. There's no substitute for it. Instagram is a photo video site. TikTok is TikTok. I think that YouTube has like with their community tab. I mean, I could basically make my community tab my Twitter. We could turn our community tab into our Twitter. If we ever want to share stuff or talk about stuff, we could do that. That's probably what I'll do if Twitter ever becomes like just a complete dumpster fire. But like I've heard a lot of people who are reporters, people who work in certain industries say that right now there's no alternative to Twitter, and the niche spot that it fills, they couldn't run their business without it. So yeah, it's not. Yeah, Twitter's too big. It's ridiculous. There's no alternative right now. So Cody, Mastodon is too. I signed up for it. It's too confusing for what Twitter is. Have you looked at Mastodon at all?
This is literally the first time ever hearing that name, Mastodon.
You download it and then you can join communities. Like it's like Twitter communities where like you can connect with people and then you get a curated feed, but then it also is very regulated. Mastodon isn't enough like Twitter for me. Twitter, I like Twitter because Twitter is one stream of just consciousness. I don't like the very hyper segregated niche things. I use Reddit for that. I don't need Twitter for that. So
yeah, that Mastodon thing looks a bit weird.
Yeah.
As I said, I think like in regards to like the population that leave Twitter, you'd be lucky if it's even 1%. You'd be lucky. Most people just found they might not use it as much, but they'll still keep Twitter. Yeah. They'll still have an active Twitter. So they'll still use it from time to time. Maybe just not as much.
Blue Sky Social. I'm just going to look at its ranking, and I can tell you all right away.
Isn't that meant to be like a company thing?
Blue Sky Social.
On a scale of 1 to 10, though, how much shit hits the fan if Musk allows Trump back onto Twitter, Eric?
I mean. I'm assuming that it's gonna happen no matter what. I don't see.
What do you think his first tweet back would be?
I don't see Blue Sky at all in here. Blue Sky's not even showing up at all in my
Blue Sky Social. I swear it's like a company thing.
Well, there's Blue Sky Staffing, but I don't.
Yeah, like it's like
see that.
Maybe it's an Australian thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
Blue
know.
Sky sounds familiar. I didn't think it was a.
I don't know.
Social media thing.
All right, so we're gonna answer this super chat, and then I'm gonna wrap this up. Rhett here with a 999 super chat. In this Titan the Stargirl crossover, I wonder if Connor will follow Guard of Blue Valley since Connor has been in Stars and Stripes comic books. I don't know. We don't even really know what the context of the crossover is. Is it going to be reality? Is it magic based? I think someone was saying that it's been verified that it's a Stargirl from their Earth, but I don't know. Has that been confirmed or not? I don't know if that was confirmed. I've read lots of articles. I haven't seen that yet, though.
I think it's just meant to be him. I think it's literally just Beast Boy. I think it's like literally a Beast Boy episode. But America's crazy at the moment. Like, you got this Twitter stuff, you have the Kanye stuff, you have the Kyrie Irving stuff. America can't catch a break. It's like
I try to stay out of a lot of it, to be honest.
You got all the like police, BLM, all this stuff. Like it's if you're a journalist, if you're like CNN, you'd be loving it because all you're doing is talking. You won't have a quiet day. It's insane.
Thank you for the super chat, Rhett. I don't know. I think, like Paige said, it's just going to be a Gar episode, though. So I don't know if we'll see any of the other characters crossing over.
They might be like, I think it'll be like a sandwich, like they were at the beginning and maybe the end, but in the middle. It'll be like the Superboy episode back in season 2 for the most part.
Which was a really good, like you said, probably the best episode of the show, honestly. Blue Sky Social is a new startup by the founder of Twitter. It's not out yet. It's still in development stage. Oh, well, I mean, here's the issue. And I don't want to like freak anybody out.
Is he obsessed with the color blue or something?
I guess, but when you sell a company, you can't create the same thing again and compete with that company. So it has to be different enough from Twitter that it's not considered illegal, because I'm pretty sure that when you sell a company the size of Twitter as the creator of it, there's documents being signed where you're like, I will not try to compete with this company again. I'm pretty sure that's what happens.
Well, did you see like Elon Musk wants to bring back Vine?
I don't really have an issue with that though.
I'm just saying because now like because like TikTok is the new Vine, but people have such a nostalgia with Vine when they go
Vine died because they couldn't find a way to monetize it. That's the problem.
Well, that's this thing, but now you could connect it directly to Twitter, which would influence a lot of people to go there to. If this
is true, if he did not sign a non-compete, that was dumb as fuck. Sorry, I got to put that word out there. A company like that being sold, if the actual person that sold it, the original owner, did not sign a non-compete, that would be really dumb. Not on his part, but on the person that bought it.
But maybe that's because Elon Musk doesn't care. Maybe because he has he didn't really give a crap.
Maybe.
Or maybe because you thought, well, Twitter's big enough as if anything's going to come out and that's even somewhat similar and drown it out.
Yeah, possibly.
Then again, I guess I said the same for Facebook and MySpace and then Twitter and Facebook.
I was never big on Vine. All the stuff that I saw on Vine was stuff that kind of came over to YouTube personally. I never really got into Vine, but I know a lot of people used it. It was a very popular platform. A lot of YouTube stars now came from Vine. But TikTok crushes Vine. I don't think there's any way Vine could compete with TikTok.
Well, I think the only way that Vine can have some sort of competitive thing with TikTok is if it is directly intertwined with the Twitter stuff.
Yeah.
So it's almost like if you post something to Vine, you can also post it to Twitter at the exact same time.
Yeah.
Like something Instagram where it's Facebook, like where they're or it's something where it's like even if say you automatically have the amount of followers you do on Twitter on Vine.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. All right. Well, all right. We're out of here. We're going to wrap things up. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Stay tuned for more information on the Big L. It is about to happen. Until then, make sure you're following my Twitch because I go live randomly. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We're getting out of here and we will see you next time.